Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Reality Cut here, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be taking you through the process of on how to make this beautiful palazzo jumpsuit that you see over here. If this video is a video you're interested in, please keep on watching to the end, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also turn on your notification bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. So basically for this tutorial, I'm going to be making use of this sunray fabric you see over here, and I have about 3 yards of sunray. Now you can also go ahead to use any other material to substitute for this style that we are making. So but for me, I have sunray and it is 3 yards. So let's get started with this video. So basically the first thing I went ahead to do is to get the full length of the palazzo that we are working with. So for the full length, I'm working with the total full length of 62 inches for the full length of my palazzo. So I went ahead to subtract my upper body, which is from my shoulder to my waistline, and I'm working with the waist length of 17 inches. So I went ahead to subtract 17 inches away from the 62 inches, and I was left with 45 inches. So basically the length of this pant that I cut out here for the trouser piece is 45 inches. So I'm basically going to go ahead and use this piece that is on fold. As you can see, we'll be cutting the front piece of our palazzo first before cutting the back. So I went ahead to cut out the length at 45 inches. Now for the fold that I have here, for the fold, you're going to go ahead and measure your round tie. So for me, my round tie is 28 inches. That's my normal round tie measurement, is 28 inches. But since this is a palazzo that we are making and we want it to be very free, I'm going to be adding extra 8 inches to my body measurement in total. That's my round hip measurement. I'm going to be adding 20. I'm going to be adding 8 inches in total. So when I go ahead to divide 8 inches into 4, because our trouser pieces is going to be 4, that's 2 for the front and 2 for the back, making it 4 in total. So I'm going to go ahead and divide that 8 inches that we have into 4. So it's going to be giving me 2 inches for each piece. So I'm going to be adding extra 2 inches to my round tie measurement divided by 2. So since I'm working with a round tie of 28, I'm going to be dividing it into 2, and it will be giving me is 14 inches. So adding 2 inches to it to give me 16 inches, and that's basically what I have here on fold. I have 16 inches here on fold. So let's go ahead and start with the drafting of our trouser piece. At this point, the first thing we are going to be marking from our waistline will be our hip length. So just go ahead and measure yours. So for me, from my waist to my hip is 10 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 10 inches. I don't know if my check is visible enough. So the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to get our crotch length. Now usually your crotch length is 2 inches away from your hip length. So since my hip length is 10 inches, I'm going to go ahead and add 2 inches to this 10 inch, making it 12 inches in total. But since you are making a free palazzo jumpsuit, we wouldn't want it to be that tight. So instead of adding 2 inches to my hip length, I'm going to be adding 3 inches to it, making it 13 inches in total. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 13 inches. Now this 13 inches will be serving as our crotch line. So after marking our crotch line, this is our hip line and this is our crotch line. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide my round waist measurement into 4. I'm working with the round waist of 32 inches. 32 inches divided by 4 is 8.25. So from this point, I'm going to go ahead and mark 8.25 all the way down to our hip length. So I don't know if my check is visible enough. So after getting my waist length, I marked it all the way down to my hip length. Now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to come over to the hip length line, this line that we have here. I'm going to go ahead and divide my round hip measurement into 4. So I'm working with a round hip of 42 inches. 42 inches divided by 4 is 10.5. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 10.5 at this point. So this is what we have here. Now remember, we already added extra inches to our palazzo to make it more freer. So this point that I marked, this is not really necessary. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is to curve from this point that we have our waist measurement divided by 4. I'm going to get that curvy part all the way down to this point that we have at our hip length. Just watch the way I'm doing it. So you wouldn't want it to go deep too much. So just try and get that C aspect of it, just like you see me do over here. I don't know if it is visible enough. Now after doing that, I noticed that I'm having a little bit more excess at this point. So instead of adding the 8 inches that we added to our palazzo, I'm going to be reducing it by 1 inch. So instead of the 8 inches, we'll be doing 4 inches. So from this point that I have here, I'm going to be coming in by 1 inch all the way down to the full length, just like you see me do over here. So basically, after marking it all the way down, this is what we have here. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this off from the waistline all the way down to the full length of our palazzo. After cutting it out, this is what we have here. I don't know if it is visible enough. So this is what we have at this point. Now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to slit open the center part, because we want this piece to be on a separate part. So I'm going to go ahead and slit open this part that you see over here all the way down to the full length of this pant. Slit opening it, this is what we have. So we are having two separate pieces here all together. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to use a pin to secure from the waist area down to the crotch depth, because that is the point that we are going to be joining while sewing. So I'm just going to go ahead and secure this point. So after using the pin to hold it down, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to fold my fabric again into two for us to cut the back piece of this palazzo. So basically at this point, after folding my fabric into two for the back piece that we are going to be cutting, I went ahead to add extra 3 inch to the folding of the first one that we folded with. So remember that we folded our front piece with 16 inches, which I later removed 1 inch away from. So for this one, I added 3 inches to the 16 inches for the allowance that we'll be adding for the crotch area and also for the sides. So after folding your fabric into two for the back piece, just go ahead and place your front piece directly on the folded fabric. So basically, after arranging the front piece directly on the back piece, just like you see me do over here. Now if you notice here, I don't have much spaces. Now this is because this is not your regular kind of trouser, it is a very free palazzo. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and extend the crotch area by 2 inches, which is exactly what I have here. So I don't know if you can see. So I have 2 inches from the front crotch area to the back piece that we have. So this is 2 inches. So I'm going to go over to the waist area of the front piece. So for the piece that we folded for the back, I'm going to be coming out by 1.5 inches all the way down to the crotch area. So basically, after marking it, this is what we have. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect it in a curvy way, like just like we did for the front piece earlier. So I don't know if this is visible enough. So I marked 1.5 inches from the waist all the way down to this point. Then I connected it all the way down to this 2 inch that we marked outside this point. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and mark 1.5 inches from this crotch depth area all the way down to the full length of this palazzo that we are making. After marking the 1.5 inches, I went ahead to extend it all the way down. So for the sides of this palazzo, I'm not going to be adding any allowance to the side because this is a stretchy fabric. So I don't know if you can see, it is very stretchy. So I'm not going to be adding any sewing allowance to the side. But if you're making use of a material that is not stretchy, just go ahead and add sewing allowance to the side of your palazzo. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out this back piece that we marked earlier, and also cut the sides of it to be equal. So basically at this point, I'm done cutting out the fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold this out for us to cut the upper body. So basically for the drafting of this upper palazzo that we are making, I'm going to be drafting it on this satin paper. Then after which we are going to go ahead and transfer it to the running fabric. Now the reason for drafting this on this paper is for it to be more clear and more visible. So let's just go ahead and get started. So the first thing we are going to go ahead and do is to draw our starting line that will be serving as our shoulder line. So this is our starting line over here. So for this, we're not going to be needing our shoulder to shoulder measurement because this is a halter neck. So all you just have to do is to determine the neck width and depth that you want to work with. So for me, I'm going to be working with the neck width of 4 inches and the neck depth of 4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 4 by 4. Now the neck width and the neck depth can vary depending on what you want. I don't know if you understand. So I'm just going to go ahead and create my neck curve, just as you see over here. So this is a turtleneck, and you wouldn't want the neck to be too down, you understand, and you neither want it to be too up so that it won't make you feel uncomfortable at the throat part of your body. So for this now, I'm going to be coming up by 1 inch. So I did 4 by width, then 3 inches by depth. So I'm just going to go ahead and connect it all the way down. So what I'm going to go ahead and make use of is this neckline here. So this one is out of our drafting. So this is the neckline we are going to be working with. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and impute my horizontal measurement. From the shoulder, I'm going to go ahead and impute my bust point, my chest line, and then my waistline. So from the shoulder, mark your chest line. My chest line is 8 inches. I'm going to go ahead and mark my bust point. My bust point is 10 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and mark my waistline. So the waistline I'm working with is 17 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and extend the lines. So after extending the lines, I'm going to go ahead and divide my round bust measurement by 4. So I'm working with the round bust of 36. 36 by 4 is 9 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 9 inches. And I'll be adding extra half of an inch for sewing allowance. Although my fabric is stretchy, but I'm going to be adding half of an inch just in case. So after adding the half of an inch over here, so after that, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to divide my round waist measurement by 4, and I'm working with 32 inches. 32 inches divided by 4 is 8.25. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 8.25 at this point. So after marking it, I'm also going to go ahead and add half of an inch for sewing allowance, just like we did earlier. So the next thing we are going to go ahead and do is to come over to this neck area that we have here. I'm going to be using a straight line to join from this half of an inch that we added for our sewing allowance all the way down to this neck width that we have here. I don't know if it is visible enough, so I'm just going to go ahead and draw it this way. So this is what we have here. Now from this point, I'm going to go ahead and connect my body measurement. That's from my chest line all the way down to my waistline, just like you see me do here too. So basically, this is it for the upper body of the palazzo that we are making, or the jumpsuit. Now I'm going to be using this piece to cut both the front piece and the back piece. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So this is the piece that we are going to go ahead and make use of for the cutting. So I'm going to go ahead and fold my fabric into 4. Then I'm going to go ahead and place this piece directly on the folded fabric. So basically, at this point, my fabric is already folded into 4, and I'm going to go ahead and bring the pattern paper that we had earlier and place it at the close folded edge. Now don't place it at this tip that has an opening. Make sure that this folded edge as your paper is facing the part that is all folded up. So I'm just going to go ahead and use a pin to secure this, just as you can see. So I'm going to use about half of an inch to stitch this band from this neck point all the way down to the other neck point, then from this point all the way down to this other neck point. I don't know if you understand. So let me just go ahead and pin this so that we can join the other side to it. So at this point, I'm done pinning these sides to the neck area. I don't know if you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this other part of this neck area, and I'm also going to go ahead and join it to this other part. Now make sure that this armhole area is lapping on the other a little bit, with about half of an inch or quarter of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it to the neck band that we have. So I'm also going to go ahead and pin it just the same way I pinned the other one earlier. So while pinning this, you would notice that the neck width is a little bit much bigger than the other part. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to drag the band a little bit. Don't overstretch it. So I'm just going to go ahead and join it. So basically, after pinning it down, this is what we have here. So I just went ahead to pin it all the way around. So I'm just going to go ahead and use half of an inch to join the band to the neck area. Now when you get to this point, because the neck band will be a little bit smaller than the neck width, so you just have to go ahead and make this armhole part to overlap on the other. I don't know if you understand. Just make it overlap on the other until it fits the band. So basically that is what I did here. So I'm just going to go ahead and use half of an inch to stitch this neck band all the way round, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So the last thing we'll be doing for this palazzo is to cut out a very long rope depending on your weight or your body size. So it should usually be more than 60 inches, then 2 inches by weight. So that should be the rope for this palazzo pant. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew the rope, then sew the neckband to it, and basically that will be it. So basically after pinning this out, I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Basically after cutting this out, this is what we have here. So the next thing I'm basically going to go ahead and do at this point is to unpin the paper away from the main piece. So after that, I'm going to go ahead and place this aside, and I'll go ahead to open up what we have here. So looking at this, we have two pieces here in total. One is for the front piece and one is for the back piece. So I'm going to go ahead and use either a bias or a facing, depending on what you want to work with. I'm going to go ahead and turn over the armhole area only. That's this point that I have from the neck all the way down to the chest line. I'll also do the same thing for this side, and I'll also go ahead and do the same thing for the other piece. But I'm not going to be turning over the neck area. I don't know if you understand. I'm not going to be turning over the neck area because we are going to be attaching a band to it. So I'm only going to go ahead and do this from this point all the way down to this point that we have our chest line. So for the pants piece that we cut out earlier, that's the palazzo that we have. I'm going to be joining from the waist area all the way down to the crotch depth, just like you see over here. So I'm joining the back to the back. This is the back piece, and it is two piece, so it's back to back, and I make sure that it's facing right side facing each other. So from the waist all the way down to this crotch area, I'm going to be joining with half of an inch. Then I'm also going to go ahead and do the same thing for the front piece of our palazzo. I'll be joining the front to the front from the waist all the way down to the crotch area to with half of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and also couple the armhole area of this top. So basically at this point, I'm done folding in the sleeve area of this turtleneck, and I also went ahead to join the two palazzo just like I showed you earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the two piece of the pants that we joined earlier. So this is the front piece of the pants. So this is what it's looking like. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring one of the upper body that we cut out, the turtleneck area, and I'm going to go ahead and place it right side facing each other. Make sure that the right sides are facing each other. Then I'm going to go ahead and use half of an inch to join the waist of the pants and half of an inch to join it together with the upper body. I don't know if you understand. I'm going to go ahead and sew from this waist area, from this point all the way down to this point for the front piece. Now I'm going to also bring the back piece. This is the back piece that we have here, and I'm also going to bring the upper body that we had earlier, and I'm going to place it to right side facing each other just like we did with the front one. So I'm going to go ahead and place this way, and I'm going to use half of an inch to join the waist area together. So basically at this point, I'm done joining the upper body of this top to the lower part for both the front piece and the back piece. So this is what we have here. So I'm going to go ahead and place this right side facing each other this way. Now I'm going to go ahead and use 1 inch to join the sides of this dress that we are making. So from the armhole here all the way down to the full length of this palazzo that we are making, I'm going to go ahead and arrange it. Now note that the back piece is usually wider than the front piece, but just make sure that the sides are equal while shaping it. So I'm going to go ahead and use 1 inch at this point to join from this point all the way down to the full length of this jumpsuit, and also do the same thing for this other side. Then we'll go ahead and work on the neck area of this jumpsuit. At this point, I'm done shaping the sides of this jumpsuit that we are making, and I also forgot to tell you to join the crotch part of this palazzo, that's the under part. So just join it with half of an inch. So the next thing we are going to go ahead and work on right now is the neck band of the upper area. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out a piece for it, but before that we are going to go ahead and measure the round neck of what we have here. So I'm going to go ahead and take up one piece upward this way. The neckline is the same thing, but I'm going to be measuring one. So just go ahead and measure around the neck area of what you have here. So for me, I have 13 inches. So I have 13 inches here. Now I'm going to go ahead and measure my round neck. After measuring my round neck, I'll make sure that it's free enough for me to be comfortable. So I'm going to go ahead and measure it. So after measuring my round neck, I had about 15 inches. So remember that the round neck of what we have here is 13 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a band that is 2 times the 15 inches of the round neck that we got. That's 30 inches in total. I don't know if you understand. I measured the round neck of this piece that we have here, and I measured my round neck to make sure that it's going to be comfortable on me. So after measuring my own round neck, I had 15 inches. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut out a band that is 2 times 15 inches. That's 30 inches by length, because this neck area and this neck area is the same thing. I don't know if you understand. And the width of the band is going to be 2 inches. So after cutting out the band, this is what we have here, and the width of this band is 2 inches on fold. So I'm just going to go ahead and take one of the bands and place it right side to right side. That's folding it into two, making sure that the right side is facing outwards this way. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the neck piece of any of the sides, whether the front piece or the back piece. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it equally this way, and I'm going to go ahead and notch the center part of it. So after notching the center, this is where the center is. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold it into two this way, just like you see me do over here, and I'm going to be joining this side with 1/2 inch. Now note that I'm sewing on the wrong side, so I'm just going to go ahead and trim this. I'm working with a stretchy fabric, so sometimes the measurement alters. So I'm going to go ahead and sew with 1/2 inch, then I'll go ahead and flip it over to the right side. So after joining the sides with 1/2 inch, I'm going to go ahead and open this over to the right side, just as you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and fold this into two. I don't know if it is visible enough. So this is what we are going to be having at the end of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the part that we notched earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and place any part of this band that we folded this way. So any parts can really go, although you can also go ahead and fold it into two and also get the center and notch it. I don't know if you understand. So I'm also going to go ahead and place the notched part if you wish to notch yours. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and place it. So the part we are placing is this part that has an opening. I don't know if it is visible enough. So I'm going to go ahead and place the opening part over to this wrong side of this piece that we are working with. So I'm going to pin it this way, just as you can see. So I'm going to use about 1/2 inch to stitch this band from this neck point all the way down to the other neck point, then from this point all the way down to this other neck point. I don't know if you understand. So let me just go ahead and pin this so that we can join the other side to it. So at this point, I'm done pinning these sides to the neck area. I don't know if you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and bring these other parts of this neck area, and I'm also going to go ahead and join it to this other part. Now make sure that this armhole area is lapping on the other a little bit, with about 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and pin it to the neck band that we have. So I'm also going to go ahead and pin it just the same way I pinned the other one earlier. Pinning it down, this is what we have here. So I just went ahead to pin it all the way around. So I'm just going to go ahead and use 1/2 inch to join the bands to the neck area. Now when you get to this point, because the neck band will be a little bit smaller than the neck width, so you just have to go ahead and make this armhole part to overlap on the other. I don't know if you understand. Just make it overlap on the other until it fits the band. So basically that is what I did here. So I'm just going to go ahead and use 1/2 inch to stitch this neck band all the way around, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So the last thing we'll be doing for this palazzo is to cut out a very long rope, depending on your weight or your body size. So it should usually be more than 60 inches, then 2 inches by width. So that should be the rope for this palazzo pant. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew the rope, then sew the neckband to it, and basically that will be it.